Sup guys, welcome back to another video. This one we're talking about Elon Musk. Is he a good guy? Is he the savior of the world? Is he going to take us to Mars? In this video, we'll find out. But yeah, essentially guys, he's in the news a lot at the moment. He's obviously got ties to Donald Trump. He was heavily involved in the campaigning and getting him re-elected. And I've done a bit of a brainstorm. I've done a bit of a deep dive as much as I possibly can. You could probably spend ages and ages researching this guy, but I want to show you guys that this guy is not on the side you think he is, right? And I'm just going to lay out the facts in this document I presented, and you can use your own brain and decide what you want. Like, I'm just laying it out for you guys, and I'll let you guys kind of decide. So first I want to talk about the business element that he's involved with, right? So of course we've got here, he's closely tied to Donald Trump, as I've mentioned. Okay, so the first company I want to look at for him is PayPal. So PayPal started as Conformity, founded in December 1998. Around the same time, he founded X.com, an online banking company, and he quickly realized the potential of peer-to-peer payment systems and introduced email-based money transfers. In March 2000, these companies merged. And keep in mind, guys, the technology had already been developed beforehand, before Elon Musk. So a lot of people think that he was the one who developed it. No, he essentially got in early and just became, he merged the companies. So this comment here on Reddit pretty much sums up his business ties, right? So he bought into PayPal after it was already a company and paid to have his name added as a founder. He did the same with Tesla. He founded SpaceX, but that's not a business in the same sense. It wouldn't exist without government funding, which we'll touch on soon. The Boring Company's been a joke. He bought Twitter. An entrepreneur is not someone who buys businesses, it's someone who starts them. He has leveraged his money well, turning a healthy head start in life into the richest man alive, but that's what I call an entrepreneur. So that is debatable, but that has a good point. Now, I was trying to find some information to back up this, but it's very difficult. I remember, when I was first waking up around 2017, 2018, there was loads of information about Elon Musk, how he doesn't actually create businesses. He literally just gets in on the ground level and buys them out. It's a very common tactic, and Bill Gates actually does the same thing, right? He didn't actually create the software for Microsoft. He got in there early, bought the software, then he scaled it. And most of the time, they use their family's money to be able to buy out these guys. So if we go to Tesla, so they had very early government support. So they had 465 million of loans because of these incentives for electric vehicles. They also received a huge tax break, 1.3 billion incentive to support the construction of its gigafactory. They had tax credit for buyers. So pretty much the government was pushing this industry heavily, right? And I know exactly the same thing happened in New Zealand. So people, government was giving people subsidies to get electric cars. So EV charging network expansion. So they're given 7.5 million subsidies from the Biden administration. This initiative is part of the effort to create a nationwide EV charging infrastructure. So keep this in mind, guys. Like, he's got heavily ties with the government, and this was the Biden administration. So, even though he's like pro-Trump now, he was still benefiting from the other side. In this video, I won't play it because I'm just aware of copyright, but he blatantly says that in order to Elon Musk tells Leonardo DiCaprio why, in order to transition the whole to sustainable energy, the governments need to impose a carbon tax. And that's the thing. Like, you think he's so pro-freedom and pro-libertarian and all these kind of words that get thrown around, but yet he's trying to impose a carbon tax. And if anyone's done any kind of research on that, we know that's a complete lie. And Leonardo DiCaprio, he's the biggest climate change pusher narrative. The number one P. Diddy guest. So we can't, me personally, I'm not going to listen a word to someone who's been caught with sleeping with underage people. Let's just be real here. Okay? Let's look at one of his other companies. We've got SpaceX. So Same thing as Tesla, heavily funded by the government. National Security Space Launch, NSSCAL contracts, 733.6 million contracted by the US Space Force for 9 national security missions. Rocket Cargo Program, 102 million contract to explore point-to-point space transportation. The Commercial Crew Program, 4.9 billion under the Commercial Crew Transportation Capacities. This funding supports SpaceX's Crew Dragon missions, which transports astronauts to and from the International Space Station. I don't know how to say this. Adventurous lunar missions. SpaceX was awarded $2.89 billion contract in 2021 to develop a lunar lander to the Adventurous program. An additional $1.15 billion was later advocated for upgrades in a second crew landing mission. And yeah, so you get the picture, right, guys? And I came across this article which is very interesting. SpaceX launches a Starlink 666 mission from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. And guys, they love the symbology, the numerology, like even around the lockdown periods, they were throwing around 666 all the time as well. You know, keeping 6 feet away, all these kind of things. So remember, guys, Elon Musk is a military contractor involved with the intelligence agencies like NASA, CIA, etc., etc. There are only a few types of people who get these contracts, and there's requirements of what you can and cannot say. So do you honestly believe this guy who's saying he's anti-establishment, anti-government, who's benefiting from these 3-letter alphabet companies and the government? Just doesn't make sense to me. Anyone who's thinking logically here can see there's something fishy. Let's go to another recently acquired companies, X, formerly known as Twitter. So I came across this post here. So letting a social media site become your bank is not really innovative. It is a way to dupe people into even more centralized control over their finances. Is your X account? If your X account gets banned, you will not only depersonalized from the site, you'll be debanked, voluntarily supporting the formation of the Everything app. It's a very slippery slope. Limit your dependence on any one app. So if you guys are not aware, Elon Musk wants to get X to be like WeChat, like in China, where everything is tied to the social media. So your banking system, obviously your personal information, your data, the social credit system, list goes on and on. So you can see how there's a very slippery slope. So yeah, this sounds too similar like WeChat. It's the super app used for messaging, social networking, payments, and more. It is integrated into daily life and has the infrastructure to track transactions and interactions. Having one centralized app makes it far more manageable to survey citizens and for the government to run a social credit system. So you can see how dangerous this is, guys. And this is an article down below which talks a bit about it, what his plans are, and just talking about this highlight area. So Elon Musk is working on introducing its own payment system aligned with its visions of transforming X into an everything app similar to China's WeChat. Come on, guys, that's like connect the dots here, right? It just shocks me that, you know, everyone's thinking he's a savior, especially Christians. Like, he's clearly pushing this one world currency system, mark of the beast system. It will become even more apparent as I'm going through. And to make matters worse, he's obviously pushing this AI, robotics, Neuralink as well. So you may have seen this in the news with these robots that he's pushed out through Tesla. And yeah, they can do like, you know, they're meant to help with your laundry, serve you drinks, all that kind of thing. But, you know, I don't really recommend watching movies, but the one I do recommend watching is I, Robot with Will Smith. That was filmed like in the early 2000s, like 20-something years ago, right? And that, to a T, is pretty much summing up where we're heading, where we've got this mega billionaire company, i.e. Elon Musk, creating robots which will soon have their own intelligence. Like there's got to get this. That's pretty much what the movie's about, where they go from just being robots with no capacity to think above what they're programmed, but then they're able to transition to actually being their own beings. And if you've seen some of my videos on my channel, I talk about it. That's the biggest narrative that's going on with these robots, right? Is making them personable so that humans treat them as humans, and they'll have rights just as much as humans. So here's an article that goes on about it further. Just keep in mind, guys, I will link this report in the comments. So if you want to read all the articles in your own time, you can do so. So he talks about what they're about to do, but yeah, he's going to release this to the public next year, and for about 25 to 30,000. So keep that in mind, guys. That's actually not much money. If you're a multi-millionaire or even earning a good 6-figure salary, people will buy this, and this will get adopted very, very quickly. And I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I've already got a mate in Singapore who's sending me photos of like these like little robots who are serving you in restaurants and stuff. That's going to come across to the West very, very quickly. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by end of next year we'll see these robots walking around with us, doing all sorts of things. And because of this threat of AI, like Elon Musk has such double standards, it's unbelievable. He's saying AI is the most dangerous thing for democracy, the most dangerous thing for humanity, but yet he is rolling out the AI. He's bringing out the robots, and he's already talked about how humans at some point are going to have a universal basic income. And if you looked at any research in terms of the New World Order Agenda 30, that's exactly what they want. They want everyone on new universal basic income. That's like the Communist Manifesto. That's pretty much like their number one goal. So Musk has advocated for socialite universal basic income to counteract job displacements caused by automation and AI, which he's pretty much creating, right? And what I think is absolute worst is this Neuralink, where, if anyone's looked into it, right, it's like you're putting a chip in the brain, trying to essentially be able to control the body through your thoughts or something like that, right? But yeah, disclaimer, this is not the mark of the beast. A lot of people think it is, but I'm not saying it's good, but it's definitely not the mark of the beast. And watch this clip here of Mr. Beast. He's one of like the biggest YouTubers, if you haven't heard of him. He's already put up his hand up saying he wants to get it. He's like, imagine how much money you can make if you're tapped into the internet and da-da-da. This guy's already worth billions of dollars. Why does he need more money? It's just the absurdity of and the greed these guys have. It's unbelievable. But hey, if anyone does get this, I do believe it's very, very hard to then come back to God from there. I think that's a slippery slope, and yeah, hopefully God cuts it soon as the stuff is rolling out. Alright, guys, so that's the business element of things. But yeah, the business side you could honestly go down that rabbit hole very, very deeply about how he doesn't really actually create the businesses and he just acquires them at a very early stage. But you're getting the picture, right? So let's jump into his family. So let's first go into Maya Musk, his mother. So she has been modeling for 50 years, and she has very, very strange photo shoots. And if anyone has looked into Freemasonry and their secret societies, they all, they all cover up the eye, the all-seeing eye. They do very satanic things, and it's clearly visible to me. I didn't have to look hard to find images of her doing satanic poses. So we can see here she's holding one eye, she's wearing some demonic helmet and some, who knows what the bottom left of that is, but it doesn't look very appealing to me. Here's another photo shoot of her holding holding one of her eyes. And guys, if you all think this is a coincidence, you need to do some research, right? There's a good video, I don't know if it's on YouTube anymore, it might have been pulled, but the X Factor winner, Eldon Snowden, I think. If I find it, I'll put it in the description. But he goes into detail about all the symbology around this kind of stuff. And every single A-list celebrity is throwing up the 666 pose like she is right now. And also the one-eyed, hiding the one eye. So, that's just 3 photo shoots of stuff like 10 minutes of researching, right? So it's just pretty blatant, guys. She even did this weird... she was in a video with Beyonce, being like a ghost or who knows what. But yeah, we all know that Beyonce's tired of the Diddy parties as well, and it's not a good look. Now, I'm not saying Elon Musk is, this is not Elon Musk's reflection of him, but I mean, similar, if your family's doing it, definitely means you could have an influence, right? But as you can see from this famous Halloween party at Heidi Klum's New York house in 2022, he wore this costume that he called the Devil's Champion Armor, which has a Baphomet on the chest. And this is his mum here. Who the heck goes through all this trouble looking so demonic, guys? And that's the thing, like, Christians have a short-term memory. Like, this was not long ago. This was only like 2 years ago. There he is. And if you guys don't know what a Baphomet is, it pretty much is the god that all these Satans worship, right? So it's like this like non-gender deity. So it's like a mixture between a man and a woman, and you got the children looking up to it, and it's all tied to child sacrificing and things. But I'm not going to go deep in that now. But if this is all new to you, I just honestly go to Rumble or BitChute, all these other kind of non-censored video platforms, and type it in. You'll find a bunch of information on it. Okay. Now let's look at his dad quickly, Elon Musk. So he's been involved in a controversial relationship with his former stepdaughter. She was only 4 at the time when he married her mum, and they lived as a family for 18 years, and they got divorced, and later they reconnected and became romantic. In 2017, it was revealed that Jana was pregnant with Errol's child, which caused a rift in the family, including with Elon Musk. The couple has since had 2 children together, a son born in 2017 and a daughter in 2019. Errol has defended the relationship, stating that he and Jana were both lonely and not close during her upbringing, though the situation has been widely criticised by his own family members. Well, damn right I should. But it's just weird to me. There's just so many things going on in Elon Musk's family. It's bizarre, to say the least. And so there's pictures of them there. Just it's just not a good look. And if interested, this is quite a good video I came across, talking about a bit more about his backstory, how he actually Elon came from a really well-off family. He had like his dad had an engineering firm, and they traveled around. So Elon didn't start from nothing. He wasn't a well-off family, guys. And it does look like both his mother and his dad were involved in some form of sadism and definitely some occult stuff. And I don't have any this is all allegedly, guys. I don't have any hard facts exactly, but if you can just see what the behavior and what they're doing, you can kind of connect the dots, right? So, I forgot to mention. So he also gained significant wealth through ownership of an emerald mine in Zambia. Now, this was in South Africa, and I know I'm just assuming here, but I'd say most likely he was probably having like slaves or very low wage workers on those mines, right? So I don't think it was a very ethical way to make money. I'm just thinking that. Who knows? Maybe it wasn't, but it's just a lot of questions around this guy as well. And I'm sure you can find more information and history on this guy, but this is just kind of a surface layer view on him. But just the fact that he's got children to his stepdaughter is not great. Now let's go to Elon Musk's now ex-wife. He's got a few ex-wives. So one is Grimes. The most recent one is called Grimes. She is well known as a musician. Now, this was a famous picture of them at, I think, at the gala or just some sort of Hollywood party thing. You can't see it in this video that well, but it says Novus Autumn Securium. So, depending on what translation you do, that will interpret into New World of Age or New World Order. And like, if New World Order is totally new to you, go do some research as well. There's so many clips of all these politicians, celebrities mentioning New World Order, and this is about them rolling in, like it says, the New World Order, collapsing this current system and bringing in what they want. So yeah, not another good sign for Elon Musk, to be honest. And looking at Grimes' music was disturbing to say the least. I don't encourage watching it for too long, but if anyone has any discernment and has the Holy Spirit inside them, you just know that this spirit is just not great, not very good. So this particular video clip was filmed in 2019, just before the whole, you know what, lockdowns happened. And there was a scene where they were dancing with masks, and the lyrics were like, but can't see what I see, you can't see what I see. You know, you feed off hurting me, I'm begging you, baby. Like, and it's called, the song's literally called Violence, guys. Like, it was just weird. It was weird. Like, it was definitely like she knew what was going to happen in 2020. It was kind of like the Olympic ceremony where they had all the nurses in the beds, and just all this predictive programming was going on. So you got that, and one of her more recent songs, called I don't know how to say it. Is it Shingamaya? I don't know, but it's in Japanese and it translates to death god or god of death in English. It is commonly associated with folklore, mythology, and popular culture in Japan. So they are considered natural beings or spirits that lead souls to the afterlife, similar to the Western concept of the Grim Reaper. They are not prominent in ancient Japanese mythology, but became popular in later cultural works. Yeah, like, just absolutely all over the place, this girl. And in that particular video clip, there was the classic black and white checkerboard. If anyone's done somewhat research into that is connected up to the Freemasons. And this photo was actually, I actually did a tour maybe like a year ago in this Freemason tour and took a bunch of pictures. I'll do a video on it at some point. But yeah, you can clearly see the black and white checkered board. It's actually in a lot of governments. I know in Wellington here in New Zealand, we've got a black and white checkered board. It's all over the place. And from my understanding, it's meant to represent duality, like good and evil, classic, tying it back to the Garden of Eden. So it's all connected, guys. And this is some disturbing tattoo she's got. Looks like scars, but it's kind of like a I don't know, like a white tattoo or something. But yeah, so she's clearly allegedly a Satanist, in my opinion, for sure. Like, definitely, just based on the music, the way what she wears. It's just very, very odd that someone who was claiming to be a conservative, family values, potentially Christian guy who was married and has 3 kids to this lady. Just doesn't make sense. Now, if you look to his first ex-wife, so one of his kids is actually transgender. So the kid is born Xavier Must. Vivian changed her name to Vivian is now her name. Changed her name to reflect her gender identity and dissociate from her father. He quoted on Twitter, "The woke mind that killed my son." So I remember him talking about that in his political campaigns, and that does suck, but it makes you question what exactly has gone wrong here. So these are actually some social posts from her directly that I saw from an article that you can see up here if you want to read it more. So let's have a read. Look, I don't know if you genuinely believe this or if you live in your own delusional fantasy land, and frankly I don't care. It seems to me like you are trying to rebuild your brand image as the caring parental father, which I will not let go unchallenged. If I'm going to be honest, this is absolutely pathetic. You just won't stop lying about me in interviews, books, social media, etc. Thank God you absolutely care about it, because otherwise this would be significantly more difficult. So it's interesting, right? Even though she's transgender and she's confused, to be honest, but it's interesting how she said that he's trying to rebrand as a caring parental father, right? And this one's even more interesting. Understand your new angle is this Western values Christian family man thing, but it's such a weird choice. You are not a family man. You're a serial adulterer who won't stop lying about your own children. You are not a Christian as far as I'm aware. You never stepped foot in a church. So take that as you want, guys. But for me, I also connect that as just warning signs, to be honest. Like his absolute family life is in shambles. So that, for me, it doesn't matter how successful you are in this world. If you've got $1 billion, if your family's not in order, then that's not a good sign, to be honest. So moving on to more recent times, he was at this UFC event and he was seen with Donald Trump, of course, his best mate, but he was seen wearing this necklace here. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I'll do a little bit of research to see what pops up about this necklace. And so the outer side is the Omega symbol, and the middle is the all-seeing eye. So the Omega is the last letter of the Greek alphabet, signifies the ultimate end or the accumulation. It could symbolize eternity, totality, or the complete or spiritual journey. In Christian context, Omega represents God's eternal nature, especially when paired with Alpha. Resistance and power in physics and philosophy. Omega can also denote resistance, strength, or a bounty that signifies the end of one phase and the beginning of another. So that itself, I don't see nothing wrong with that, but when it's tied with the all-seeing eye, which is connected to the Illuminati and the Freemasons and things, so there's often associated with the concept of higher power of God, keeping watch over humanity. Keep in mind, these guys, these are generic, answers that just the internet spit out, but esoteric mystery in some contexts, such as Freemasonry or spiritual practice, the all-seeing eye represents the pursuit of hidden knowledge and understanding universal truths. So yeah, interesting, it's all tied together, right? So a necklace featuring both symbols could symbolize spiritual completeness, divine power, protection, balance of knowledge, and endings. So take that as you will. You can do some research on that, on the symbology, but another sign that is suspicious, to say the least. And I just found this in terms of like what they kind of represent, based on those witchcraft sites and things. But yeah, very, very tied into the same thing with the tarot cards, right? Like trying to predict the future or personality types, that kind of thing. And so, interesting enough, I honestly reckon, for me, it looks similar to the energy anchor. So, energy harvesting sounds about right based on all the Neuralink and AI stuff that it's doing. So now, if we look directly after the elections, Elon Musk and Donald Trump were seen, celebrating, and on Twitter he put a post up similar to the jacket he was wearing, Novus Ordo Seclorum, representing the New World Order, on the US dollar bill. So coincidence? I think not. Now let's go into who he's connected with, right? And if you guys are new to this channel, this is a Christian-based channel, and I always like tying world events to scripture and the Bible. So what it says in John 15:18-19, it says, "If the world hate you, you know that it hated me before it hated you. If you were of the world would love his own. But because you are not of the world, but I've chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hated you." So what I gather from the scripture is, because the world loves Elon so much, for me that's a big warning sign, because as Christians we should expect the opposite, that people will hate us because they hated Jesus. So he was person of the year in Time. When was that? That was 2022. Here's an early picture of him with Jeff Bezos. So this is back in 2019. So he's quoted, Elon Musk's space has done some amazing things. It's a remarkable accomplishment. He has also expressed admiration of SpaceX's ability to develop reusable rockets, emphasizing its significance in advancing space travel. So he's in the big boys club, right? And here's him at SpaceX behind one of his rockets with President Obama. So like I said, guys, he's been tied in the political game for a while now. It's not just Trump. He's with both sides. Let's be real. You know, he's giving him praise as well. Here you see him with the Trump family. So very, very close ties. So it's even said here, this is what Trump said, we have a new star, a star is born, Trump told boisterous supporters in West Palm Beach, Florida, a few hours before the election was called in his favor. Elon, he is an amazing guy. So there's an article that says that, and there's another article that says he's a super genius. So yeah, Trump loves him. He recognizes that he did a lot to help him get re-elected, that's for sure. Here's I think this is 2013. He was seen here next to Larry Page, the co-founder of Google. Has expressed admiration for Musk's boldness in addressing significant changes like space travel, clean energy, and AI, calling him a first principles thinker. And here's the article. So in the article, he stated he would actually leave his fortune to Elon Musk if he happened to pass away. And this guy's worth $139.5 billion. Like, imagine how much power Elon Musk would have. You know, he's already a billionaire. Imagine how much more power we would have with that amount of wealth. That's scary. But this is an old article. Like, it doesn't sound like they're super close at the moment. But if you're a billionaire, you're in ties to get that right. You know exactly what everyone's game plan is. Now, this one here, this is quite interesting. So, if you know who this is, back in 2014, he was seen photographed with Ghislaine Maxwell, who's tied with, Jeffrey, you know his name. Won't say it because of, in case I get censored or something. So he's denied that he actually had any relationship with her, that it was just kind of like a photo bomb, like at an event kind of thing. But for me, when you're at the top of the game at these elite parties, I feel like you know who's who. And I would suggest watching this video here. This lady's a really good investigative journalist, and there's very suspicious ties with Elon Musk, Jeffrey, and Ghislaine Maxwell. Okay, somehow, yeah, I won't talk too much about it, but watch this video and you can see actually how deep he possibly is in that world as well. This is an article that kind of touches on it. So Jeffrey claimed he was helping Elon Musk find a new chairman for Tesla. So he potentially at some point had involvement in Tesla. Like, how crazy is that? This is all allegedly, guys. I don't have any hard facts, but for me, I wouldn't be surprised. So if we look at all of these people, these are absolutely huge, big players in the world, right? You've got presidents, you've got billionaires, tech billionaires, you've got suspicious billionaires. And another one, you also got Pope Francis, July 1st, 2022. During a private audience at the Vatican, Musk shared his excitement about the meeting on Twitter, posting a photo with the Pope and four of his teenage children, saying he was honoured by the encounter. Now, anyone who's anyone, definitely if you're a billionaire, it seems like it's a rite of passage that you have to meet the Pope. Now, I won't go into too much in this video, but if you've done some study around who the Antichrist is, you know, this guy is the front of it, you know. And I'm not saying that average Joe Blow who goes to a Catholic church is the Antichrist. No. I'm saying that that whole system is the Antichrist, and he just happens to be the head of it. There's a lot of famous people who have met this guy, and you've got to question why. They always go meet the Pope, and they also go to Israel and kiss the Wailing Wall and do things like that. So I'll leave it at that. This could be a whole bloody Bible study topic in itself. But I wanted to show you he's got the religious ties, he's got the dodgy ties, he's got the tech ties, he's got the political ties. It's all together. Okay. Now I just want to end on this note in terms of like Revelation chapter 18. And I'd highly encourage you guys to read that chapter in full, but I wanted to just read out some key scriptures from this chapter. It's titled The Final Call to Leave Babylon. So while you're reading it, I really want you to think of like the kings and queens of this world, the governments, the businesses. So people like, you know, the Google, BlackRock, Tesla, IMF, Vanguard, Apple, Microsoft, Pfizer, all these huge companies. I want you to envision these companies as you are reading these scriptures, okay? So Revelation 18:13, it says, "For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies." So we can see that now, right now, guys, where the rich and the poor divide is getting larger and larger. And it's not going to slow down, unfortunately. The wealth and the abundance of her delicacies is getting so wild. And that's why I believe where they get so wealthy, they can have anything in this world, that they end up being perverted and start to go down the child, you know what I'm trying to say? Like they get perverted and start doing all that crazy stuff like Diddy parties and things. Because, you know, if there's only so many good meals you can have, there's only so many private jets and big boats you can go on, it's not really going to satisfy you anymore, right? It's not going to get you that dopamine hit as if it did when you first walked on that private jet. So Revelation 18:11, "And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore." So that's when this whole system collapses. Because eventually the system will collapse and people are not going to be able to afford the merchandise anymore. Revelation 18:15, "The merchant of these things which were made rich by her shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing." And verse 23, "And the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee, and the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee, for thy merchants were the great men of the earth, for by thy sorceries were all nations deceived." So it's not the governments that are running the world, guys. It's these huge business mogul, business billionaires, essentially. Like, they're the ones pulling the play, but it's not them. It's Satan's pulling the strings, working through them, right? And by their sorceries were all nations deceived, guys. Because that's it. And that's what Jesus warned us in Matthew chapter 24. Is take heed that no man deceive you. And I just wanted to stress enough. This video is just, let's not get complacent, guys. As much as I am glad that Trump got in rather than Kamala, because that would have been absolute even worse. But because Trump's in the US government doesn't mean that these systems are not still coming together. Like, the beast is still gathering his power before he can fully consolidate and bring in the mark of the beast, guys. So we do not want to be taken off guard. So like I mentioned, the merchants are more powerful than government. I've already mentioned that. So Satan's biggest weapon is deception, using people to appear as light. And I truly believe Elon Musk is one of those people. He's so propped up. Like, people think, like similar to Trump, that he's a savior. Like, he's trying to get us to repopulate in Mars and, you know, how about try and fix things on Earth first? And look, everyone's got different views of this, but I personally believe that we never ever went to the moon and we can't actually break the firmament. So the fact that he's trying to say that we can go to other planets is the biggest lie in my view. That can be a whole nother topic in itself. However, that's what they want you to think, that they're, rather than having hope in Jesus, there is hope in going to other planets through living forever, through AI, through tech, through putting your consciousness into AI, whatever, like so many different things, right? So 2 Corinthians 11:14, and no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. Satan is not going to come as an obvious evil, like an evil force, i.e. New World Order, but a protagonist for good. So people are going to think that this is a good thing when the mark of the beast comes. And that's what a lot of the Christian world have got wrong, is like they think that it's going to be such an obvious evil power that we need to stand up and say no and protest and do all these things like what similar happened with the lockdowns. But that's not going to be the case. Is even the very elect are going to be deceived. Even pastors, even well-known Christians and politicians, all these people are going to be deceived and thinking that the mark of the beast is going to be a good thing. Alright guys, I'm going to leave that on that note. If all these things are new and don't make quite sense yet, please subscribe to my channel. I'll be releasing as much end time prophecy stuff as I possibly can, and research. I'm going to do more research like this because I think it's very important that we understand where things are heading in this time. And I'm not saying that I know everything. This is just a small glimpse into one particular guy, but he's one piece of the puzzle, right? So, but a very big piece nonetheless. But yeah, I appreciate you guys watching. I'd really appreciate if you guys like it, just so it gets shared out in the algorithm and get pushed out there. And yeah, share this with your friends and family who still believe Elon Musk is a good guy. But in my opinion, and based off this research, you probably see that he's not a very good guy. He doesn't really have the general people's interests at heart, the best interests at heart. Thanks guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video. God bless. Peace.